Hello and welcome, I'm that James guy, and this, in front of you, is the Soviet Union in Hearts of Iron 4, but not just any Hearts of Iron 4, this is Road to 56, and what that means is there are a whole bunch of technologies, a new land doctrine, and that's about it with regards to the tech panel, and there's this special research division, which is like Doctrines Plus. Also, all the focus trees are a bit different, and there are far more of them than there normally are. I was going to say numerous there, but it sort of didn't work with the old grammar and things. And what I think we're going to be doing is Soviet Union, but it won't be Soviet for very long. It will be going fifth column, counter-coup, glorious Romanov Tsar, and then into the imperial legacy. And we'll be doing much the same sort of thing as the Soviet Union, you know, claiming Eastern Europe, doing that. But instead of the big showdown being with the Third Reich, there will be the big showdown with the US and with Japan. So we will actually be doing a fairly naval-heavy Russia. So the first things first is we're going to need to work out how to get the fifth column going. That requires we have Nikolai Yezhov as a political advisor, and that it is before January of 37. I think there's a way to do this without a civil war, so, you know, let's hope. And it says NKVD agents will work in secret on overwhelming the Stalinist regime to bring back Trotsky to lead. The choices we make leading up to the coup will change the effects of the focus. Certain choices will result in a higher post-coup instability and the opportunity for a counter-coup, whilst other choices will reduce post-coup instability at the cost of other negative effects. So, yeah, we're going to be trying to get the counter-coup going. And because it says the political advisor, chief of army, I'm guessing we're going to get options to pick who is in the high command and who's our political advisors, things and stuff and things like that. So we'll keep an eye out for those names in the events in the fifth column stuff. But we're going to need to get to 150 political power. And I think the most obvious way to get that going is to just start with the 5-year plan and start doing things like that. That being said, it might be an idea to get some of these going fairly early as well. Anyway, let's do the 5-year plan. Let's also do a fairly standard research start, grab the sort of industry and construction-y things, the electromechanical engineering, and then with the spare research, we're going to go and grab it onto the... Actually, Max Factories in State isn't actually all that useful to us, but, like, these things on this side are, like the... mostly the consumer goods factories, minus 5% I'm looking at. I guess we'll invent flamethrowers. Who doesn't love a flamethrower? Gonna pop out some civilian factories. We're just gonna build a whole heap of civilian factories. Create the Greater Moscow Industrial Factory Zone, which takes up a good half of Russia. And now, with the mill facts, we'll just go back 10 onto that. 3 onto support equipment, artillery. I think we can get away with 2 on trucks. We're going to need more planes than that. We'll leave the 1 on heavy bombers, but we're going to go and grab... We're going to RP this a little bit and go and grab some medium bombers as well. And close air support, which we don't seem to have. That's interesting. Maritime patrol craft are going to be quite useful. So torpedo bombers have changed in... Road to 56, you've got the torpedo bomber, quote unquote, which works much like the naval bomber does in standard vanilla HoI. It's ground-based, not carrier-based. They have a fairly decent range, and they're all about that naval targeting and naval attack. Whereas the maritime patrol plane has much longer range, so you can go and sit them off in the middle of the Atlantic or the middle of the Pacific. But they're less good. They're mostly made for dealing with submarines. And you can also get maritime variants of the medium and heavy bombers as well, which are these options here. So a maritime heavy bomber has some naval targeting and some naval attack. Great for doing port strike missions. The medium bomber equivalent, the naval attack 8, doubles. They still have... 10 naval targeting, though, which is still less good than the torpedo bomber. But again, they're good for just anti-shipping missions in the great big expanse of what is presumably going to be the Pacific Ocean. Then, because these are not these are carrier operable. You can run these off carriers without actually upgrading them, which is interesting. Oh, and there's also this variant of the heavy fighter, which is like a ground attack heavy fighter. But anyway, that's a bit of an aside there. We are going to grab some torpedo bombers. Going to be wanting them. Close air support is something that isn't going to be a thing at the moment, unfortunately. We'll whack 5 onto the fighters. What are we missing? Something. Oh, we haven't worked out what AA is. Excuse me. That was a fairly violent sneeze. I think I hit the mute button on my microphone just in time, but if I didn't, I apologise most profusely. Actually, we'll just whack 5 on both of these, just to build up the stockpile. That's that sorted. Naval production. This is where we're going to need to have a bit of a think. And yeah, most of this first video is going to be just generic setting up of the country. So, the main naval theatre is, of course, going to be the Pacific. But there is actually... This is a problem that Russia faced historically. It needed a fleet over here to deal with Japan. That fleet got dunked at Tsushima. They need a fleet in the Black Sea to, you know, protect this coastline, possibly deal with Romania or Turkey, but the straits were controlled by Turkey, so it was fairly safe, but they still needed something here. They also needed something in the Baltic, but again, it's fairly safe because the straits are owned by Denmark. But even so, you need something here. And then they also needed a North Sea, sort of Barents Norwegian, northern fleet as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to have the main battle fleet be Pacific-based, based out of Vladivostok. And that's going to probably be carriers and the whole 9 yards, rather. That's going to be the main fleet. Then we're also going to basically... What do we already have? We have a battleship, some cruisers, and a destroyer. We're just going to rename this to Black Sea Fleet. And that probably isn't going to get any bigger, to be honest with you. That's probably good enough. We might tack in some extra destroyers in there. In fact, yeah, so all of these crappy destroyers that we're producing, I did just, yeah, oh, yeah, all right. Black Sea, Surface Action Group, Black Sea, Submarine Group. The naming scheme will become more apparent the longer we go, I think. Black Sea Surface Action Group. We'll put all 4 of these destroyers in here, and we'll tell them to go quickly. The submarines, this Series 5 Shuka. What is a Series 5 Shuka, and what is it good for? We have lots of types of submarine, apparently. The Series 5 Shuka is just a bit of a crappy submarine. We're also building some of these Series 10 Shukas, which is the same thing but with a better engine. We're also building a Series 9 Srednaya, which... Is that going to be mine laying or something? No, that's identical to the Series 10 Shuka, except that it is a Tier 2 hull. Hey. I guess these guys can go over to the Pacific for now. We'll whack the Series 10 Shuka up into the Baltic. Into Arkhangelsk, we'll just have them up there. And the Series 5 Shukas can go over to Leningrad and be part of this fleet. What do we have over here? We have the Baltic Surface Action Group, which is going to need light cruisers. And the Baltic Submarine Group. Fleet is the one that is actually able to be read, Baltic Fleet. And up here we just have, so we're going to call this Barents, I think. Barents Surface Action Group and Barents Submarine. Oh, and Barents Fleet. So... what we're going to do, these guys here are going to go join the Baltic submarine group. These guys, they're the thingy one. These guys are going to go join the Barents submarine group, as that's where the vast majority of our submarines are going to be piling out of, just to make sure that this is safe. They're also fairly good at dealing with, like, you know, other things. We are going to need more dockyards as well. Over here we have the Pacific Surface Action Group. Fleet. Pacific SAG. Which is going to basically be completely modernized. Because this is where the vast majority of our stuff is going to be going. You are going to go join the Pacific Submarine Group. That seems that's fine. Time to do the army, which is going to probably take half as long as the navy. Right, let's see what we start with. And work it out from there. Split everything off into its constituent parts, work out what we want to delete, what we want to keep. There's a motorized hanging about. Go over there. Got 73 Strelkovia divisions. What is a Strelkovia division? That's just my standard infantry. Fairly cheap, fairly cheerful. I'll temporarily put those over there. We've got an armor army. Just set that up over here. They're going to need more motorized. Got mountaineers. Well, if I know anything, it's that mountaineers need to be in mountains. And the mountaineers who need to be in mountains can quite clearly go and sit on the Turkish border. Do we have anyone that's good at mountains? Mountain, no. Anyone good at hills? No. Anyone good at terrain at all? No. Let's find someone who's good at something. That chap, he's an infantry dude. He's fine. These NKVD divisions, they're going to transition over to be the Coast Guard. And they're going to have the worst general. Ah, Georgy Sakharov. Congratulations, sir. You're a bit crap, but you're sort of good for something at least. And hopefully we've got enough and we don't need to train any more of these crappy divisions, but who knows. Reasonable. Any more ports anywhere that I may have missed? No? Oh, cool. Perfect. In fact, we can delete some. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17... Yeah, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. That's 5, so we'll scrap 5 of these. At random. 5, boom, done. That leaves us with them. They're dealt with, kind of. The mountaineers are dealt with, kind of. The cavalry are gone. Let's work out. Didn't want that at all. Oh. That's quite cool. I've never even noticed that button before. Is there any way to... Aha. We can do that and then send him back to the other theatre. That one. And then we've got rid of him. Just to make it easier to sort this out. Right. Whack these up into 24s. 1. Oh, we've got 1 spare. Goodbye, sir. Gives us 3 armies. Well, we're going to want 1 dealing with Manchukuo friend. Congratulations, East Army. And, good general this time. Best infantry general, Nikolai Yatutin. We're going to want a sort of Baltic-y person. Baltic army. Under, yes, you. We're just going to use full back lines. This guy. That front. And then you are going to be the Poland army. Under, yeah, whoever He's actually going to probably be Marines. Winter Specialist? He's going to be Finland, I would have thought. So we'll do Leonid Govorlov. You two need to be under an army group. Vasily Blucher, army group West. He can come in under that. Army Caucasus army. Typing is difficult. That's that sorted. Armor is gonna pretty much just sit somewhere in that army group as well. Go call this like Mech army. That fits with that, and that'll be Zhukov. He's just gonna sort of sit on this river line temporarily while we work out what to do with them. You train up some more troops. That's all fine. Need rubber. British Malaya, give us your rubbers. Thank you. Divisions in basic training. Let's let it run a tick or two to sort out that. Oh! What's the difference here? Slower research speed, more output. Slower research speed, more constructy. Well, we want the more constructy. More constructy is good, please. Quicker building, more factories, more fun. Right, everyone's sort of in vague position now. Yeah, we're just massively short on all the things. But that's going to solve itself fairly quickly, I would have thought. About a year. That's fine. We're going to want... We'll just tell them to train up a whole other army. And that's going to be the Romanian army. And then we're going to want the same thing again for... Finland. Boom, done. They're less important than reinforcements. And we're also going to want... How many was it? Where is it? There it is. Got 11 of those. We want... yeah, 11... Motorized army peoples. Go join that. And we're also going to want 1 tank division. Go join that as well. I don't normally build light tanks, but we're going to try something new. Oh, and also... Oh, we can't train anymore. I was going to say we'll fill that up with more mountaineers, but we can't. That's fairly there. It's going to take us a while to get enough political power. Yeah, was it Yeznov? What is a Yeznov? Nikolai Yezhov. He is a prince of terror. That is fine. Decision available. Oh, yeah, we don't want to do that. We don't need militia. We're a professional fighting force. Alright, while the game's running, we will sort out the Air Force. That's sorted out. Railway slow down yet. Now, to deal with the railway problem, we basically have to... I don't know why I moved all these things into one place when I'm just deleting them anyway. Oh, something happened there. Oh, no, it's fine. Right. Let's have a go. What we want is, we want 100 torpedo bombers based out of Vladivostok. What's their range like? Their range is a bit crap, really, isn't it? But from Vladivostok, they should be able to cover a fair chunk of the Sea of Japan. Cool. We'll whack them on training. We're also going to want a fighter squadron over here, or a couple, really. Probably 1 for the Far East and 1 for... To be fair, most of the fighting is going to be in the Far East. Like a fighter squadron in for the Russian Far East. And if we've got it, some medium bombers, which we can probably just base out of the steppe. Right, that'll do for now. Yeah, that'll be fine. Over here, over yonder, we're going to want a fighter wing in Ukraine. Boom. Fighter wings in Belarus. Boom. Gonna whack them sort of basically haphazardly across the universe. Seems fairly reasonable. And we will tell you guys to train. We make enough oil just to be able to train the Air Force. Finished our national focus. We will invest in the railways. Everyone loves a good railway, especially people who like trains. Well, there's the heavy bomber. Got another wing of medium bombers which can go and sit in Belarus. Both of those. Train. That's the Air Force all sorted out and set up. I know this first video has been a little bit short. Well, not short, but short in advancement of time. But it has been long in preparation. So, you know, half a box is ticked. We've made progress nonetheless. We're not going to worry so much about all these resource things. We'll turn that off. We might come back to that later. Yep, more research speed. We do start with this horrific low literacy rate. Not enough Russians can read or write, which leads us to the problems of not enough Russians being able to work in laboratories and doing the researchings. Carry on. Well, we've got until 37 to be able to do that, haven't we? Got plenty of time. Especially because I think one of these gives us political power anyway. I appear to be wrong. Well, we've almost revolutionized the rail network. Glorious Russian revolutionizing. So now the question is, do we want to train the army? We're probably going to lose all the infantry equipment if we do that. Give it a go, see what happens. What happens if we tell you guys to train? How bad does it get? Yeah, the tanks will just train up to full power, and then we will get them to go away. Proposal from the Soviet Chinese Republic. So yeah, so the Chinese Soviets, the PRC, they have a different focus tree as well, including some really nice events, which do some interaction between the SU and themselves. So we've recently received a proposal from Mao Zedong's representative, stating that they would like to seek our permission to establish another government in the northwest region of China, and use our support to fight against the Japanese and the Kuomintang. Yes, sure. See what they can do. Let us improve the Trans-Siberian Railway. Let us also work out what support equipment is, and also what a Molotov cocktail is. Might deal with all those high-tech Japanese tanks we're not going to see on the front line. That being said, I do need to remember to turn these guys off training. Oh, those guys aren't training. We'll whack him under there for now. When the Japanese border war thing kicks off. Because so I stream. I primarily stream. I did a Soviet Union game. Challenge sort of thing. Let's get Yezhov. And the challenge was no micro. So I had to do everything with just battle plans. I couldn't micro. And as the Soviet Union against Germany and friends, that's quite difficult. And of course, I had my army training much like this. And the Japanese border war kicked off. And I was like, oh, that'll be fine. We have like all the tanks over there. And we have infantry dudes over there. And it's quite a big army over there. And then, lo and behold, the railways run on time. That's perfect. Good. Lo and behold, my army got shreked by the Japanese. And I was like, wait, what? And then I realised it was because they were all training. Just a bit of an idiot like that. Right, so we've got Yezhov, which means once the Trans-Siberian Railway is underway, we can form a fifth column. So, and I think that's probably a good place to put a little cut in the video. We've done all the preparation, we've advanced time, we've got to the point where we can do the coup. So, let's take stock very briefly. Everything is under control, everything is fine, it's going rather well. And basically, we're in a position where we can now start the coup. We've done a couple of months, we've got the army under control, and we've got the navy under control, we've got the air force in the right place. It's going alright, but I'm sure it won't stay that way. If you watch my streams, you'll know that everything might look fine, but it will all go wrong in the end. So, thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. If you feel like watching one of those streams, do join me over at twitch.tv/thatjamesguy01. And if you enjoyed this video, please do like, subscribe, write a comment, and tell me if there's anything you'd like to see, and we will endeavour to do so. Thank you. See you next time.